Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to this first live stream I'm on this week. And one hell of a week it's been with License the Person, Register the Firearm, a campaign that took an exceeding amount of work, time, effort, and all the good stuff behind the scenes by a lot of people who put in significant amounts of blood, sweat, and tears to get us to the point where it's finally live on DRSA. A big thank you to Rob Hutchinson, who made that possible, if he's watching this. And if he's not watching it, I'll point him to the recording. And a big thank you to everyone else who is at present still nameless and anonymous, but hopefully will be able to identify the major role players that have helped push this along to the point where it is now in due time. I am chief figurehead in this, and I'm the guy that just talks to other people and networks. And I'm proud to say that this is a little bit of a Paratus initiative, but it doesn't belong to me. It doesn't belong to me. It doesn't belong to Paratus. It belongs to the public. It belongs to the gun owning community. It belongs to gun owners. It belongs to all citizens who believe in a safer, more secure South Africa where the rule of law is upheld. And yeah, I can finally say we're there. So, good evening, everybody, and good evening, Chris, in the comments. And of course, you can ask questions about licensing. That's kind of what this channel is about. This is what my brand's about. So do bring your questions. Hello, Rebellious Ruth, Mr. Punisher, Biker Chick, Intensive Care Bear, also known as Laurie in real life, Alan, Daniel, and everybody else who will probably pop in the comment section shortly. So before we get into the meat and potatoes, because I do get to read the responses, I do have back-end access, although guys, protection of personal information, act stipulations, all that sort of stuff, all the things that happen at the back end of DRSA remains anonymous. You are not publicly identifiable. The information of you that you do not wish to be publicly identifiable will not be publicly identifiable. And your comments, your decisions, your inputs, everything that you put on there will then be used as information as you as an individual that has registered your support or your opposition to a motion. And that's all that matters. So hello, Amy, Riaz, and Tony. Goeienaand. Good evening. So all in all, so far successful start. More than, well, I think just short of 1,000 responses. Let me just double check. I think we've just ticked over 1,000 responses, 1,000 participants. So I've read I've read 1,000 submissions today that all popped through on the secure email. So and out of 1,000 submissions, there've been a handful of ones that have said no. And I just quickly want to talk about the reasons why. None of the no responses were because we're anti-gun. And I think a lot of it might have to do with the fact that people might not be reading the summary properly. They might not be reading what's proposed properly, or they don't understand it. Well, in some cases, I might genuinely disagree with it, which is fine. That's your right. That's what public participation is about. I'm not here to tell you how to vote. I'm here to try to convince and persuade you to vote yes, but that's not, it's your decision. Okay, so it's not mine. The no ones, there's a few that stuck out. So one of those that voted no was an interesting one. It was a guy who said he believes every household should have a firearm for self-defense and or home defense, and everyone in that household should be allowed to use it. But he doesn't think every single person should be allowed to have a firearm license. So in essence, if I understood correctly, he wants to limit the amount of firearms there is in public, but he doesn't want people using them to be competent with them, because being a license holder in this context would mean that the person is competent and trained and safe and responsible. So he wants a household to be licensed, but the people not to be license holders, which doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I misunderstood his comment and his submission completely, but that was the one. Then there were a few other interesting ones from gun owners, clearly, and one that said they don't support it because this is going to be more hoops for them to jump through, and they've already spent money licensing and they just want the status quo to remain. Another person said something similar, that they just want the FCF 2000 to be enforced. They don't want to pay more money or go through more schlep to get this improvement in. And a few others were, no, there should be no gun control at all. It should be Second Amendment, which if you watch my channel, hello, I'm Mr. AK-47s for everybody. But at the same time, we must also be realistic in the sense that what we can achieve in the public space right now is to actually get something implemented that vastly improves the way things are done. And surprisingly enough, after that ENCA interview I did with Barry Bateman yesterday, and I'm going to get to all your comments in a moment, I was surprised that the cops actually came and said, okay, they're not opposed to this, and that there's room for engagement, which I'm like, okay. Maybe this caught them so fucking completely off guard and offside that it did actually. They had to delay the broadcast for a day because Vish Naidu, their spokesperson, needed some time to first read what the hell we propose and what's going on. And it took them this long to compose it. So Vish said that, I don't know what his rank is, I forgot. So I'm just going to call him Vish. Said that, okay, no, but they're busy digitizing and becoming e-connectivity wise anyway. And I'm like, that's not really true. From everything I've seen that the cops have done is they've regressed as far as technology is concerned. They haven't advanced. There was an attempt to get the electronic capturing of dockets to make that a thing. And it didn't become a thing because the police unions were so vehemently opposed to it that they had to scrap that entire process. So everything is still being done with pens and paper. So a massive, massive change needs to be done, and not just the way that admin is done in the police, but in almost policing culture. And that change is going to have to be forced from the outside. So a lot of people don't want it because it's still gun control. Well, not a lot. Like one person who wanted it because it's still gun control. And yes, I agree gun control sucks and it's stupid and it doesn't work. But ultimately, this is one step to a working system that everyone can be equally unhappy with, if you know what I mean. And that would actually stop criminalizing innocent people for owning guns. It would stop having bullshit, stupid reasons. And Mr. Totenkopf, thank you for the hugs and thank you for the super chat. I appreciate all of them. So I'm just going to start answering some questions quickly. So Timmy, verduidelijk bietjie details van license the person. So basically, let me leave the comment up. What we're proposing is a shall issue system. If you're a fit and proper person, as stipulated by the criteria on that document that's on DRSA, the PDF, the Paratus PDF. If you're a fit and proper person, there's no reason at all to deny you. You comply, like this bullshit of arbitrary license refusals, or for arbitrary reasons, refusing people firearm licenses, or in this case, a personal license, based on no rhyme or reason. When they're a fit and proper person, they should be issued that license. End of discussion. If you misbehave and you're irresponsible, or you behave like a criminal, or there are other reasons for you to be then denied a license, you can be section 102, 103 immediately, and you can be declared unfit to possess. Your guns can be confiscated, and that's the end of the situation. So we already have the South African equivalent of red flag laws in place, and having a shall issue system makes complete sense, and that's a big part of this proposal, is to remove this arbitrary bullshit from the system entirely. Okay, there's no need for it. Exactly. They are this entire concept of a disarmed citizenry is never going to fly. There will never be a gun-free nation. It's a flight of fancy and it's complete nonsense. Mr. Guntribe, I will check out my DMs on Twitter. I'm terrible with messaging, so I do apologize in advance for anyone who's trying to get a hold of me on instant messaging of any sort. At the moment, people are trying to get a hold of me on Facebook Message on 2 platforms, personal and the Paratus Facebook page, so that's 2. Telegram, WhatsApp, 3 email addresses, and Instagram, believe it or not, and Twitter DMs. So I do lose track of my admin a lot. But I will do my best. So yeah, they are trying. I believe this is accurate, Leon. They try to kick it to the side. They admit there's a problem. They're working at it with no timeline and no deadline. Just as an interesting aside on this, if you go to most police stations, I know my local one hasn't, and a couple of them have it. There is a machine for the electronic capturing of fingerprints and other biometrics that should have been hooked up to a central, like, nervous system linked to a central database. Those machines were never they were never hooked up to anything, and they were never commissioned, and they never worked, and some of them are covered by tarpaulins, and they're a few years old, and by now they're probably completely obsolete. This is the level of e-connectivity we currently have in the SAPs. It's quite pathetic. It was absolutely revolutionary when they finally brought out the system with your I number and your reference number. You could actually look up on their website where your firearm license is in the process. And that was like a huge leap for them. And yeah, so ultimately, we need to understand that they're going to remain Luddites. And unless we force them to change, they're not going to change. And the only way we're going to force them to change is through persistent, intense public pressure. More on that in a moment, because I've got some interesting people I'm talking to over the next few days. Tony, dude, thank you, sir. Cheers to you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Like, I really, really do. A couple of interesting comments. Like, hang on. So, Riaz, with a new proposal, this is going to take a bit of consulting with the existing community, right? And this is a whole part of public participation. This is just, this part of the process is just to figure out if people want this. When we say, yes, we want this, we go to the politicians and to Parliament and say, we want this change to this. The next step is the how, which involves another public participation process where guys like you tell us what you want. There's a very good reason why I kept this proposal as narrow and sparse of detail as it is because I don't want to start dipping my toes into things where I have no right to, where it's up to the community to put our heads together and come up with solutions for specific details. In my ideal world, if you complete your competency training, if you are vetted as being a fit and proper person, and if you, through this process, demonstrate that you are responsible, law-abiding, and competent, then that's it. Your competency essentially becomes your license. There you go. And if you're only competent to own handguns, then you can only register handguns until such a time as you've completed the other unit standards. But you must be a shell issue basis to own the guns. If they want to keep it as it is, that you can only own 4 guns unless you have DSS or dedicated hunting status, where that then falls away, then that's fine. Okay? 4 guns for you without DSS as the current limits apply within the current limits of the Act. We're not going to try and reinvent the wheel too much. We just want to make this a system that works, where you can buy and sell guns and get them on your name and off your name without waiting months and being arbitrarily refused. There's a lot of people that have interesting views on this show. I'm not going to say too much about it because I'm not going to spend too much time focusing on people that have negative commentary on it, because it's happening and it's not mine, it's the general public's. And Martin doesn't like it. He says the time isn't right now. The time hasn't been right, according to experts, for things like this for 10 years plus. This community has sat on its hands, myself included, for a very long time, ignoring issues that are incredibly important. Now's the time to act. There hasn't been a better time, especially in a time of crisis like this. Let's grab this football and let's run with the bloody thing. And that's where I am. Patrick's comment: the cops aren't against it because there'll be a second opportunity to get a piece of the pie by means of corruption. The previous system upgrades, yeah. And thank you for the thank yous. The quotes I got on implementing an e-connectivity system the likes of what we need is 2 million rand. I was then told that even 2 million rand is too much. It can be done for less than that, considerably less than that. So we are talking with subject matter experts behind the scenes who know this stuff. But yeah, we obviously can't trust the cops on face value, guys. We all know this. And thank you for another super chat, Mr. Tordenkopf. I appreciate it. Jack Norris built the hospital he was born in. I'll leave that up for a bit. So this is not a matter of blindly trusting. By the way, a major issue I have with a lot of gun ownership advocates is this excessive belief in negotiating with the state and negotiating with the police. They have proven repeatedly that they negotiate in bad faith. They've never negotiated in good faith. They've never come to our community and said, "Hi guys, we are solutions orientated and solutions driven." And I want people to be solutions driven. I'm not interested in interacting people who are problem driven. I want solutions to problems. If you come to me with a problem, I would like you to also try and propose a solution. Even if it's not perfect, we can work on it. This concept of negotiating with the cops and begging them isn't working. We need the general public on our side, a broad campaign, which I'm going to talk more about in a minute, and get them forced to listen to us. That's all. You have to use force. And in this case, the court of public opinion. Let me just get through the comments here quickly. Exactly, Genre. You hit the nail on the head. Mr. Gun Tribe, let me get to your comment here quickly. I can recommend False Bay Training Academy. They're very good. If they're close to you, please let me know whereabouts you are. But False Bay Firearm Training Academy does superb work with their competency training. Can highly recommend them. Evening, Dave. How are you? Person purchases a new firearm. Would that mean within hours you can take ownership of it leaving the shop? I haven't quite figured that out yet. I don't know how quick it would be, but in theory, if you check out as being who you are, in theory, yes, because your biometrics check out, your status checks out, and if you've got the slot for it, then yes. That's exactly how it should work. It's registered to your name. It is identical to the United Kingdom shotgun certificate system. Well, not identical, but it's loosely modeled on it, on their shotgun and rifle certificate system. So the proposal is quite clear in the sense that it is what it is. License the person, register the firearm. These are our minimum points, and then we can further clarify on there. The other objections is that this process can be used to disarm us further. I would just like to point out that that's exactly what's happening now with the existing system. They're disarming people whose license has expired. We're proposing that expiry dates or expiration of licenses get done away with completely. And if they insist that they refuse to do away with, then make it an administrative fine like when you renew your driver's license late. That's it. The green licenses may be dead in the water as it is. So the reality is we are being systematically disarmed anyway. This isn't going to make it worse. And I think people need to understand that it isn't going to make it worse. It can't get much worse than it is, guys. Like, it is pretty unworkable and shit right now, where we've got arbitrary refusals, appeal board upholding arbitrary refusals for bullshit reasons. This entire system needs to change in a big way, and the only way we're going to change it is to get the public on our side and push us as broadly as possible. And if we sit on the side and say we want to keep the status quo because we're scared of change, then we're going to lose, guys. Then we are going to lose because we've just surrendered the initiative and we may never get it back. Chris, that is not true, by the way. And it's, if you read the Act, it says that any firearm can be used anywhere where it is legal to use it for any lawful purpose. And it says so under every section, 13 all the way to 21. So the new bill says nothing about this. We're not aiming to change any of that at all. Very narrow focus. We just want to license a person, register the firearm, without changing stuff too much at this stage. This is a needle prick as opposed to a crowbar, but it has to start somewhere. Positive change has to start somewhere, and as opposed to being overly ambitious, let's start it small. No changes. I propose no changes to Section 13 limits. Propose no changes to any other limits at all. At all. Patrick, thank you so much. My ducks aren't always in a row. Sometimes I've got squirrels and they're at a rave. Ahmad, good evening, sir. And thank you very much for your inputs. And I think I read your submission. And to answer Chris's question, indeed you can, and indeed you would have to carry it completely covered. Thank you for your super chat, Mr. Guntribe. I'll put it up on the screen in a moment. Yeah, okay, fellow Cape Townian, well done. False Space Trading Academy will do you very well then. Gaan enige sy voertuig in vergeet terwyl hy wag op sy voertuig wat vervat. Exactly. There was a very deliberate reason why we are comparing guns with cars here. And not only because more people are killed by cars every year than they are killed by guns, quite literally, but because we need to stop thinking guns are somehow overly special and needed to be treated overly special. I have not actually looked into sponsorship yet, Brett. To be honest, it's still a bit new for me, all this stuff. But if we can get any sort of, if anyone wants to give me inputs on this, yeah, gladly we'll look at that and second it on False Bay. The problem with the gun community is who has the biggest toti. Well, my toti is very big, and I don't need to prove it to anybody. No, I'm kidding, Alan. But ultimately, yes, this is part of it, and that is also why I'm trying to keep. That's why I'm saying this isn't me. This isn't my initiative. It's on DRSA, and it belongs to all of us, which is why even negative comments are comments. Like participation is participation. The more people that participate, and 1,000 people participating within like 4 hours is insane. It's really good. It's absolutely bloody superb, and I am blown away by it. Absolutely blown away. The proposal is on DRSA under the summary section, where you can comment. There's a summary section, and the PDF is uploaded there. I've also uploaded the PDF to the Paratus website. There's an article that I just launched this afternoon on there about it, and the PDF is at the bottom. And it's also on the Paratus Guerrilla Media Facebook group and on the Paratus Telegram. You can find it on all of those. Speaking of which, okay, and I better start clarifying who I'm speaking to this week. So I've spoken to the Institute of Race Relations and I've spoken to the Free Market Foundation. Both are very keen and very supportive. I do not know if I'm going to get their official endorsement on this yet. Maybe. I don't know. I'm hoping I do. It would be really cool. I did get an invite to help the Institute of Race Relations with a project as their gun guy, so to speak, which is starting next week, and I'll be doing a live stream with Herman Pretorius on the RR's channel on Monday at 10 a.m., I think. So they are talking to us in a big way, and they are a major ally. At the same time, Sishnan Gabise, Big Daddy Liberty, he is going to help me take this on his channel and take it into the townships and get it to the grassroots where it belongs. And if I can just ask everyone watching who believes in this to take it into your communities, take this issue anyway, like this belongs to you guys. This is your effort. This is your thing. I just put my stamp on it, but it doesn't matter. It belongs to you. If you believe in it belongs to you, even if you don't agree with my proposal, but you still agree with the concept, just agree with the concept. And when we finally get to the point of public participation on how it should work, then all of these submissions will be taken into account. Okay, so that's what's important. I'm fortunate to speak to Dr. Theo de Jager of SCI.org, and he's also the president of the World Farmers Organization. I'll be speaking to him tomorrow on a Zoom conference about this. He's interested in it. AfriForum maybe, and there may be a couple of female empowerment organizations who are interested in this as well. So there is interest, but it's up to us. It's up to our community to take this out. Take this out there and try and make of it as big a thing as possible. That's basically what I'm trying to say. I need help with this. I can't do it alone. I need as much help as I can get. So just to get through to the comments, I said my piece now. Just putting Mr. Guntribe super chat up there for public consumption, so to speak. Riaz, if you are competent to possess and own a gun, why can't it serve as your license? Go to the gun, take it home. No, but this is exactly it, Riaz. It's exactly what I'm proposing. I want your firearm license or your gun owner's license. Let's call it that. It's not a gun license, it's a gun owner's license. It needs to be a document of such high integrity. Now, it can substitute as an ID document. It has the same level of, or even greater level of integrity as a driver's license, and it's right up there with an ID and a passport. That's what I'm proposing, and that can be done. It can be made that in integrity high as such. Ahmad, don't America have a 10-day? Not all states have a 10-day cooling off period. This is also part of a thing where, I don't want to come and say there should be a cool off period. There shouldn't. I think this is where public participation again comes in, and you guys need to decide what works for you. It's not really for me to go into too much detail and start pontificating to people what they should have. I'd rather start at a position of max freedom, and we work our way from there. Carolyn, good evening, ma'am, and thank you for joining us from the US. I'm drinking, I'm sipping on a Jack, by the way. All sales in the US are registered locally. And if you believe that, I have a bridge in New York I want to sell you. Gosh, okay. That sounds awful. Well, it sounds almost as awful as ours. Lance, evening. Thank you very much for your super chat, your 150. Let me just pop it up on the screen quickly while I read the rest of the comments. I was after Carolyn. The right to lawful self-defense with self, yes. Max Rosley, thank you, Max. Thank you for your inputs, Mister. Max is my go-to legal gun guy. He's the man behind Motivus. He's the man behind Annika Rosley, who is the GOSA Legal. And he is one hell of a mensch and a great guy. And if you need help with gun licensing, motivations, all that sort of stuff, Max is your go-to guy. And he's got a massive penis, by the way. Just saying that, just outing you on the stream, Max. You're my favorite lawyer. Would marry this man and have his children. Thank you, the wizard. Indeed, it is a matter of a bit urgency, but I'm running it now in concurrence to the amnesty to try, and I think if we get to a critical mass before 6 months is over, then we'll push it sooner. So the more people we get on board, the quicker, the better. Tony, to answer your question, I'm going to give you the same advice I gave my father, who's sitting with green licenses right now. And I would recommend getting a competency process started now, in anticipation of what the state attorney is doing, and getting your competency certificates out the way and getting them issued to you puts you in a very good position to put these guns on a white license if you need to. But on Tuesday night, next Tuesday, on the CHS Bunker, there will be a live stream with Aziza, Max Rosley, and Francois de Kock, and they will be talking about this issue from a legal point of view as well. But I would advise you to not wait too long with that, unfortunately. Stefan, let's get rid of limits. If you can forward, I would love to. That's exactly what I stand for. I don't know if I'm going to get that right on this thrust. So I'm going for a small win. But like I said, once you get a little, if we can inject a little bit of fucking common sense into this process, then maybe we can inject a hell of a lot more as we go along. So yes, Stefan, absolutely, I agree with you 100%. Carolyn, I got my CCW from Georgia. Investigation was local, but it took me 2 hours to get .22 semi pistol 11 years ago. The background check took 1 hour. You see, there's no reason. The reason stuff takes long right now is because it's inefficient. And that's the major problem, is inefficiency is what's causing it. There's no other legal reason. The expected time frame, Dylan, difficult to give it. Like I just said, it depends on when we reach a form of critical mass. If we're getting 1,000 people a day, which we're getting more of at the moment, then we could get up there really quickly. But I'd say if we get up to 50 to 100,000 submissions, then it starts getting really bloody serious, and we're getting major talking points done. So the wider we can spread this, the more. I'm trying to get into more media. The Paratus media release went to a hell of a lot of journalists, and a big thank you to Barry Bateman for getting us onto ENCA. That was awesome, and he did that was a wonderful, balanced, perfectly presented take on it, shall I say. They are indeed, and I've been guilty of calling Glocks this exactly, Toyota Corolla or Toyota Hilux. I personally think that we should just license the person and only the person. Fuck all registry. I agree. I don't. Just to clarify, guys, I don't believe in registries. Scientific evidence has proven from Canada and elsewhere that registries don't work. My problem is with the public in general, and South Africans are not very pro-freedom. Unfortunately, it's a lesson I've learned the hard way. And you have to start with low expectations and then work your way up from there. So that's pretty much the reason. Wizard, we can speed this up by just sharing it everywhere, like becoming annoying with it and just being in everyone's face about it all the bloody time until such a time as they participate. Thank you, Brett. I appreciate it. Mugshin, good evening, sir. I have to reapply for my license, but I know if I hand in my form, I'll never get it back. I understand this fear, and I don't think it's entirely unfounded. So, yeah. It's a shit situation. The cost that goes with the whole process, indeed. Well, look, it's costing at the moment upwards of 124 million rand a year just to administer the CFI as it stands. If this process is automated, it would go down a hell of a lot. And if you have to pay, for example, to renew, even though I'm not for renewals, but let's say you have to renew your personal license every 5 years, with a penalty of a fine if you renew it late. Hell, that's a lot cheaper than renewing 4 or 5, isn't it? That's just my take on it. SAPs like to involve GFSA in their decisions, even though they have no representation. This must change. I agree fully, Andre. Fully. They have no representation. They're not they have no democratic mandate. Country SA has no democratic mandate. Yed Veer, good evening, sir, and thank you for your epic submission today. Yed wrote a proper novel on this. Detailed, awesome. Thank you, sir. Epic submission. Okay, so any lawful purpose, Caroline, quite literally means don't break the law with a gun. That's basically it. It's very much, yeah. It's clearly put to you what you shouldn't be doing with guns when you do a competency training, and why can we not find ammo, Herman? You can't find ammo because of import problems. There are some ammo shipments that are arriving end of this year, I believe somehow November, December. Shipping costs have increased by about 400%, which doesn't help. You might only find some sorts of ammo only in about January next year. So that's thanks to the lockdown that just made everything fucked up. And just to, no, absolutely, Lance. I think one would have to be completely stupid to be naive about negotiating with the authorities, which is why, if I can put this bluntly, this ain't a negotiation. This is a demand. And it's a demand that is going to come from the general public. And it's time. I mean, there are 700,000 people with expired firearm licenses. For fuck's sakes, if those people could all just register their submissions, that alone would be overwhelming. It would be absolutely overwhelming. So the trick here is to go out there and just get everyone involved. Your neighbors, your friends, even the chick at the gym who hates guns, doesn't matter. Just tell her. Tell us. Read this, read the summary, read the document. Just give us your opinion. Just please, dear, for the love of God, just submit something, and that's all we want. That's basically it. Thank you, Gert Janssen van Rensburg, for your 70 Rand super sticker. I'll pop it on the screen as a thing for you. Let me just scroll back up to where I was so I can get through the comments. These things I always get behind because I'm very slow. Gerda, hello. Good evening, ma'am. Best way to contact me that I do get back to you is my personal email address, which I'm popping on the screen for you now. Send me an email to that, and I will get in touch with you, ma'am. Yed, thank you. I think I already said, and you've already spread the message far and wide on your own groups. And I think we must just keep relentlessly pushing this for the next 6 months. Just push it, push it, push it hard, fast, annoyingly. Get into the media with it. Dominate social media with it. That's it. That's it. To me, that's exactly how I feel about it. Look, like I said, I'm an AK-47s for everyone kind of guy, a Walmart guns kind of guy. That's what I would like. That's my ideal society. But for now, I have to kind of work within the constraints that exist. Well, let me rephrase that. That's not entirely true. I'm trying to change the constraints I'm working in. And I also believe in democratic process. And I believe that my word isn't God. And that the rest of the public, the rest of civil society needs to have a say in this. And if I can persuade them to see my point of view, if I can argue convincingly and I can tell people, listen, this is why I'm proposing what I'm proposing. Are you on board with me? And being approachable to engaging with them, I think we can get more of a far with it. There is a perceptive or there's a tangible change in attitude in the public thanks to lockdown. It's ridiculous. It's a good thing. It's a good time right now. And Brazos Planet, this is exactly the thing, right? You know guns, you've worked with them professionally, and you still are treated like a second-class citizen. It's ridiculous. I do agree, Rashdal, completely. I completely agree with you. It's an arbitrary bullshit piece of legislation that is so open to abuse by the authorities and has been proven itself to open to abuse by the authorities. But one step at a time, right? One step at a time. That would be Max Rose. Oh gosh, I'm only getting to the dirty comments now. Absolutely. Legalize miniguns and G6 cannons for everybody. License the person, register the farm. Okay, so what it means, Wesley, I'm sorry, your comment is like 7 minutes old and I'm only getting to it now. I apologize. This is me on this is me on a good day. So essentially, it's the same as driver's license. You become the licensed party as an individual, a natural or juristic person. It doesn't matter if you're a person or a security company. This applies equally for both. The firearms you then own are then placed on the electronic registry under your name. So they're registered to your name. You essentially have the equivalent, the security equivalent of an internet bank account at the CFR that is locked with your biometrics. So, I mean, we've got cell phones now with facial recognition and fingerprint recognition to unlock access to apps, to the phone, to banking, all that sort of stuff. We can have a secure database. Your guns are on there. You hold the physical license. The guns are just on the registry. That's the difference, as opposed to every single gun having its own license, which makes absolutely no sense. Dylan, I don't understand what it is. And Bernard, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but to me, there's no debate. It's Glock all the way. I'm kidding. I'm being glib, but it's fun. It's fun to see the people fight over it. I see Brian's in the comments at the bottom. I'm going to get to them in a sec. How does Switzerland work? Well, Carolyn, it's actually a really good question. I'm not 100% sure how Switzerland does work, but it works quite well from what I gather. Now, interesting fact, right? If you look at guns per 100,000 people in the world, South Africa is pathetically low on that list. Like, we have like 8 or 9 guns per 100 people. Canada has a huge amount. So does Finland. So does Sweden. So does Iceland. There's so many European countries that are, compared to us, gun owning powerhouses, where civilians are way more armed than they are in South Africa, and it works for them. So this concept of proliferation of firearms being a problem is complete bullshit just based on that alone. It's complete nonsense. Any content I can recommend about firearms gun reviews is something similar to Whiskey Vault on YouTube. So we haven't done a lot of gun reviews on Paradas itself, but you're always welcome to ask questions to me on streams like this. I like trying to do my best. There are a couple of Facebook groups, Everyday Carry South Africa or EDCSA. They're pretty good. I can recommend them. Gunsight, I'm not on. I used to be. They used to be very good. Frank Haas, who owns it, is a good guy. I just don't agree necessarily with their moderation style on a few things. And you used to be able to get good info from them, but I don't know how it presently is. Ultimately, yeah, we're going to do more reviews on my website, and you're welcome to ask questions here anytime, and I'll do my level best to give you objective answers or get people in. Mark, Himman, goeienaand. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining in. We'd love a system that's just easier and quicker without all the red tape. If renewals can be scrapped, it will be even better, and that's exactly the plan. Hello, Brian. VZ58 for everybody. The public is hot full of Becky and his minions. And where was it? Of course, it's arbitrary bullshit legislation was the next thing you said. Like the... I love Brian's comments. Indeed, Francis, and this is actually a thing I forgot to touch on, the amount of resources this will free up for SAPS to actually fight crime, considerable, considering the cost of it. Tony, thank you for the super sticker, and thank you for the compliment. I really appreciate it. Well, yes and no. I haven't proposed anything specific, but in theory, you can implement it directly. So unless you've got dedicated status, you retain your Section 13 slot and your 3 Section 15 slots, and those are hardwired into the registry. And if you've got dedicated sport or dedicated hunting, those limits fall away as they presently do. And that's basically it. And you can make it quite easy in the sense that if you hold dedicated status, the accredited organization can have access to the database in the sense that they can either tick a box that says, yes, you have DSS and you've maintained it, or no, you have not. And it's as simple as that. So, and it's, or rather, they can then submit the paper, your status to the registry. You'll then tick that box on their behalf, whatever, however you want to do it. Ultimately, this registry should be outsourced to an independent organization that the police can have oversight over or whatever. Think about it this way, and a very good friend and a very knowledgeable person pointed this out to me, that said, if we outsource the issuing of visas to enter South Africa to a private company, and like Schengen states do the same, they outsource the issuing of their visas to companies like, VFS and all those guys. They're trusted. They've got the equipment, they've got the skills, they've got the staff, they've got the mandate to do it. There's no reason an independent body can't administer the registry on behalf of the government at all. There's no reason at all. And I think, Riaz, this is right. And the process is extremely expensive, complicated, discriminatory, elitist. I can go on. There's huge reasons for why so few people own guns, is because it is a shit system. Let's just be honest. Of course, Brian would say this. I'm slightly more. I dare not call myself slightly more enlightened. I'm just slightly less. I'm more prone to accepting the opposing view than Brian. Brian, we're going to have a talk about this on Whiskey Friday on Friday. I look forward to this one. Do you not think the gun ownership ratio is driven by the nature of crime in this country? Well, it's really low. So I would expect a country like South Africa to have a much higher gun ownership ratio based on violent crime, because a huge number. I mean, Germany has like 3 times. No, okay, not 3 times. Twice our gun ownership ratio. And Sweden has 3 times our gun ownership ratio. And Canada has even more than that. So peaceful societies own a fuck ton more guns than we do. So, yeah, I don't know. Corona's boring. Do the alien thing. Loves this handle. Brothers, there's brilliant and a fair way to license firearm competence. The courts are filled with kangaroos in SA and don't negotiate with terrorists. I agree fully. Thank you, Jacques. You know what? It's because they're on a power trip now, because they've won quite a few court cases. And as the courts have demonstrated, not just the Supreme Court of Appeals, but a whole bunch of other court cases during lockdown, the courts are hesitant to rule against the state. And in many cases, they are outright hostile to private litigants bringing litigation against the state. So they know they've got a great chance of winning whatever they take on right now. And this is why we can't win this in the court of law. We have to win this in a court of public opinion where it really matters. Epic comment, Mornay. Love it. Shoal, I must have skipped over some of your comments. Please feel free to copy and paste that comment again and I'll get to it. Just getting into this, shared everywhere now. Where do I go to send my submission to talk about? You go to the Dear SA website, which is dearsouthafrica.coza, quite literally. And then you can go to their ongoing campaigns and you can submit your submission under the Firearms Amendment to the Firearms Control Act or something like that is how it's called. Patrick Nielsen, I think we should welcome the anti-gunners as well as the SAPs to publicly broadcast debate. Absolutely. I would love nothing more. They seem to run away from debates, but I would love to get into a debate about this. Absolutely. Richard, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Dylan, and it's a whiskey and cigar and pipe man. Hell, you're a man after my own heart, sir. Brian, I disagree with it. We have to debate them. Negotiation is the thing that we are against. You don't negotiate with dishonest people, but you debate them on the public platform and you rip them to shreds with their own bullshit. That's what we have to do. Waiting 8 months for a license is absolute nonsense. And thank God I got VFS correct. I could have called it what was it? What was that bank scandal the EFF was involved in where they stole money from the pensioners? Was that VBS? I think. Can't remember. Indeed it can, Paul. Indeed it can. Exactly this. Additional gun review SIGs are also awesome. They are indeed awesome. They're just the local agents in South Africa are not as awesome as the guns. That's a problem. Angelique, good evening, ma'am. And indeed, it would be like having a driver's license. Exactly the same concept. Their rifles and carbines are awesome. Fantastic. Gentle Inflatables, good evening, madam. I still love this handle. It's epic. Where on earth are the rest of your comments? It keeps jumping around. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Punisher. John, good evening. And good evening to Global Firearm Traders. Thank you for tuning in. Support your cause makes perfect sense. Thank you, really fed up. And we're going to try and muster huge support for this. Indeed. I like to think of it as a sort of herd immunity, right? The criminals don't know who's armed. There have been so many successful defensive gun uses by ordinary members of the public over the last few weeks. It's been extensive. I'm really believe in the fact that if more people were responsibly, lawfully armed and trained and had the correct mindset and knew what they were doing and confident, then yes, absolutely crime would go down because the opportunity cost of being a violent criminal would increase markedly because guess what happens to you? Pick the wrong target, you get shot and you die, and criminals don't like dying. Indeed I am, Max. I've got a dirty mind and a dirty mouth. Sorry, Shoal, but Max understands this. I think he may have ducked out the conversation, though. Jedward just bought a Canik, and to be honest, it looks bloody awesome. So we actually need to talk about this. Canik is Turkish, I believe. And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, because it could be Canik, it could be Karnik, it could be Kanik. I don't know. I'm not good at pronouncing these things, but how is the support for it? Just for interest sake, I'm just curious. Anti-gunners right away from debate because facts are against them. They work on feelings. Yeah, that's something I've also noticed in the short period of time I've been involved with this debate. Indeed, and it's also time, money, and resources that sucked off from the SAPs. So this is really a win-win for pretty much everyone. Goeienaand, Herman, en welkom. There's been interesting stories I've heard about this. Okay, so just let me take a sip of this quick. I've heard stories of the database being migrated, no backups being saved, and guns evaporating because they no longer exist on the system. And the way people figured out this happened is they went to renew a license, and the gun they're trying to renew the license for doesn't exist on the system. How's that? Because someone in CFR IT or SAPS IT screwed the pooch so horribly that it actually made parts of the database go bye-bye because it wasn't backed up. And it was indeed VBS. Okay, cool. So I didn't get that too wrong. What's the odds of pushing this concept through? How will it be done? And how long would this process take to be done? Look, difficult to answer because it's a bit like how long is a piece of string? This chance of being successful is how loudly we can turn it into a broad-based public participation process. It's exactly the reason why I want to get the RR involved or on board in some aspect, and the Free Market Foundation and Big Daddy Liberty, and turn it into a township grassroots effort. And if AfriForum want on board, then by all means, pile in, get on board. And the farmers' organizations and unions and representatives and whomever else in civil society sees it as an important issue, the more people that get on board this thing, the better. And that's what's ultimately going to determine its success or failure, is how hard we can push it. We've got the platform, we've got the argument, we've got the body of work and philosophy, and we've narrowed the argument down to bullet points for those with short attention spans. There's no reason why we can't give this a bloody good thrashing, especially since the cops went on record in the media saying they have fundamentally no problem with it. So good, cool. We are in agreement then, aren't we? Dewald, goeienaand, good evening. Canik is much better than CZ, indeed. Turkish guns are of excellent quality, but after sales may be an issue. Look, if Canik has got good support, then yes, it's all worth it. But yeah, we'll figure that out. Good evening, Red. No, the SIG agent are some guys in Pretoria. I think they're the same as the Ruger agent, but I might be wrong. I agree with your comment, Johan. I'm just I've said my piece. I'm not gonna get involved in a pissing contest with MH. I'm gonna focus on positively driving this issue, and the people who want to hurl rocks at me from the sidelines are more than welcome to do that. I prefer that they comment and actually participate, but you know what? If they don't want to participate, that's fine, because the rule of public participation is if you don't participate, your opinion doesn't count. That's it. Esoterica Piano File. In addition to sports and self-defense guns, I'm starting to collect classic handguns, Representative World War II guns. Is there any suggestion that this is likely to be disallowed? No, not at all. Right? Collectors, collections, all of this can be easily incorporated into the system. There's absolutely no reason why anyone, any single person, organization, or type of firearm owner would be thrown under the bus. I'm vehemently, by the way, nobody goes under the bus in my campaign. I don't believe in throwing people under the bus. It's a bullshit thing that elitists have come up with. No one goes under the bus. All firearm owners matter. All guns matter. All sports matter. All activities matter. That's what this is about. All this talk about disarming civilians makes you want to buy and license more guns. It's exactly what drives me, Bernard. Now, if only I had money and disposable income, I would buy more. But I can encourage other people to buy guns, and that's what we want to do. Francis, thank you very much for your comments. I really support it. Yed has 2 Canics. Ross Ferreira, fellow aviator, thank you for tuning in, sir. And you've always been a big supporter of what we do. And I love your honest take. I do. Okay, so support for Canik is amazing here. That's good to know, Yed. So in fact, I might actually take a look at their products just for fun. Because if they're good and if they're solid and if you believe in them, hell, why not? An editorial in the UK Daily Telegraph once supported the right to shoot at housebreakers and claimed that there was evidence that the threat of being shot at while on the job was a significant deterrent. Completely believe this. Tibbs, thank you for your comment, sir. This is exactly what it's all about. St. Andre, best way to get involved is to, and thank you for the disposable income, sir. I'll leave that. Best way to get involved, push this on your social media. Send it to friends, send it to family, send it to anyone who you think or may not be interested. Doesn't matter. Send it to everybody. Be annoying about it. Just be in people's face about it. Keep driving it. We're going to keep driving it to the point where people are going to get sick of it. But it's going to have to happen that way. It's like all campaigns. If we can get it to go viral, excellent. That's it. I think I did read your email, Mr. Seppi Tank. Hang on. I may just not have responded because I'm a slight idiot. While I've got you on the line here, sir, let me find it because I think you did send it to me. Oh, here we go. 8th of September. That was, thank God that wasn't all that long ago. Hang on a sec. Let me just talk to you. Yes, I can recommend purchasing the firearm now and getting your motivation sorted out so long, and all the other parts of like the safekeeping facilities, all that sort of stuff while you wait for your competency. So go pick if you already know what you want, and if the 19X is what you want, I can highly recommend it. It's a superb buy. Get it and get the motivation sorted out so long, and the rest of so the moment your competency is approved, you can apply for the license. Andre, I'm in Uppington, and I know they lost large numbers of the database. They were hacked by random. I mean, not Uppington, UT. Sorry about that. If you go for a renewal and they say that your farm is non-system, then what? I actually don't know what the guys have done. I can imagine it's a bit of a fuck up, and it involves a lot of paperwork. So that's the groot probleem. Yes. Actually, yes. This is the one thing I haven't spoken about, and that's also crucial, is getting security companies behind it. So if any of you have got any pull with security companies, please help get this out to them and try and get them to talk about it. GOSA is fully on board. I don't know if any other firearm owning organizations are on board of this or want to support it or care about it. I had a comment in the positive from someone with an NatShoot NHSA email address, which is a really good site. If they believe in it, that would be great. But at this stage, maybe, and it's just launched, so I don't want to be a doers. But if you think you should put pressure on your sporting body or your representative organization to buy into this, I'm not going to say no, and I would be utmostly grateful, very much grateful. So, yeah. I'm just scrolling through the comments. There are some that I can't put up. Most of Charles Boerter's comments are just, they're spot on, but they're so bloody politically incorrect that even me. Indeed, Tony. Indeed. Please get in contact with SADA as well. We could use the dealers to buy into this campaign. Indeed, I will. I'll send a communique to them and see what they say. There's no harm in trying. You can, okay, Piper, you can go to the PFTC, Professional Firearms Training Council website. They have a list of accredited training institutions, and you can find them at pftc.coza, and they'll be able to tell you who's accredited. They don't give you a quality control thing, but if you've got any, whereabouts are you based, by the way, or located? What's my feeling about the amnesty rule? The amnesty is a complete disaster, absolute bloody disaster. But I've said my piece about that in like 3 videos. I think people are gutful of hearing me talk about it by now. But anyway, Ross, indeed, thank you. Melanie, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Oma Biscuit, the meme was epic. SAP's resources aren't being used to support the public interest. Are we not shooting ourselves in the foot using this as an argument? Yes and no, maybe. So what we have to bear in mind is that the SAP's mandate is Batopele, people first. Well, that's not their mandate, that's their motto. But they are supposed to fight crime and criminals. And they're facing and Alan, thank you for the super chat. They're facing a 3 billion rand budget cut prior to COVID. It's not going to get better post-COVID. Not with a 50% GDP contraction in the second quarter, and with tax revenues probably nosediving through the floor. it's a bad situation. So if we've got to be thrifty, they got to be thrifty. And hey, this is a way to be thrifty. And it's in the public interest. And show me one person, one single person out there, whether they're a politician or anti-gun guy, who goes, yo, we don't want you to make the police more effective at catching criminals. Who on earth can argue against that? Not even the police can argue against that. And that's the whole point. And Bernard, thank you very, very much. Bernard's possibly my favorite CZ owner because he owns a lot of them. Thanks, Bri. See you soon. Enjoy London. Indeed, there's no real reason for it. Dylan, I would say get in contact with Magnum United Shooting Range. It's I can't remember the chap's name. Rosley, Adrian Rosley. He's a great guy. Admittedly grumpy. If he's watching this, Adrian, you know you are, but a really good guy, and he would be a great place to start. They're out towards the east, the far east. And as we're wrapping up, we're well over an hour now, and I got to actually go get dinner and say hello to my wife, who's just gotten home from work a while back already. Ronnie, thank you for the super chat. But we'll do more of these. There's going to be a lot of discussions about this over the next week, 2 weeks, months going ahead, because bring your questions and comments to me. Please submit them on the thing as well, that they go on record so we can start doing stuff. Unite Liberty Alliance Minority Rights Network support this. Awesome. Mandy, thank you for this comment, and congratulations for starting it. So many people are starting. It's heartening to see it. I need to go to the lodge, dude. I haven't been to lodge in a long time. For those of you who know my secrets. Hello, I'm Sam. Good to see you, sir. Thank you, Donovan. I really appreciate the compliments, guys. There you go, Adrian Rosley, and thank you for hitting the like button. And guys, thank you for the comments tonight. Thank you for the super chats. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for all the submissions, because we are now sitting well over 1,162 plus, which is awesome. Let's keep this up. Keep pushing it. We'll do more talks on this. Thank you for tuning in, and let's make it happen. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, and see you all again soon.